Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Magnuson, and this is Lessons Across Species. Every single day, someone sits across from me and asks me to tell them something I cannot know. Will my dog be okay? Is this really going to hurt her? How long does she have? And every single day, I have to tell them the same hard truth. I don't have a crystal ball. But I used to have a cat named Crystal Ball. And what she taught me about uncertainty, about control, about how to live inside a question that never gets answered, changed how I practice medicine. Crystal was an orange female cat, which already made her a little bit unusual, but nothing about her presence felt rare once you met her. She carried herself like she understood the room better than anyone in it. My kids named her Crystal Ball. The name fit in a way that felt more accurate over time. We had 4 dogs when Crystal came into our lives. Calm but confident dogs. At least, they were confident until Crystal decided otherwise. She would sit in front of our sunroom door, right in front of where the dogs' crates were, and she would just exist there. No hissing, no raised fur, no swatting, just a quiet, unwavering presence. And the dogs would stop. All 4 of them. They would sit and watch her, sometimes for hours, completely unsure if or when they were allowed to pass. Even Stella deferred. Stella was my alpha, very confident, runs this house kind of dog. Crystal would walk straight into Stella's crate and lie down. No negotiation, no announcement, just, this is mine now. And Stella would stand there, shifting her weight, wanting to obey me when I said kennel up, but completely unsure how to navigate the situation. Eventually, she'd climb in beside Crystal, carefully, respectfully, like she was agreeing to terms that had never been spoken out loud. Crystal didn't control that room with force. She controlled it with certainty. But she also had limits. In veterinary medicine, we talk about something called kitty minutes. It's the window of time a cat will tolerate handling before the switch flips. You can draw blood, do an exam, brush them out, but once those minutes are up, they are up. Ignore that boundary, and the cat will make it very clear. And Crystal was predictable in that way. What made her unforgettable was the combination. Her limits were fixed. Her choices were not. You could trust her boundaries. You could not anticipate her decisions. That tension between knowing and not knowing, I see it everywhere now. Most clearly in the exam room. Not long ago, a rabbit named Marigold came in unable to use her back legs. Her owner wanted answers immediately. What happened? How bad is it? Will she recover? I walked through the possibilities. Maybe a fracture, a disc rupture, a tumor, an infection. Each one carried a different path, a different outcome. To know, we needed diagnostics. She asked me what I thought it was going to be. I told her I didn't have a crystal ball. Based on experience, a fracture was high on the list. But that was a pattern recognition, not a prediction. She pushed back. The rabbit had been in the cage, fine that night before. How could she possibly have a broken back? I told her the truth. I didn't know how. I only knew what the clinical picture suggested. Then came the harder question. Did she really need the x-rays? Only if you want a diagnosis. That's the moment where everything shifts. Because now we're not talking about medicine anymore. We're talking about what it costs to know something and whether we can bear what the knowing might reveal. The x-rays confirmed a fractured spine. The spinal cord was severed. Marigold could not move her back legs, could not urinate or defecate on her own. There was no surgical option that would restore function. Marigold was humanely euthanized. That is the kind of certainty no one wants, but it is still certainty. What gets lost in the frustration, and I understand the frustration, I really do, is that your veterinarian is not standing outside that uncertainty, handing down verdicts. We're walking into it with you every single day, knowing that answers are sometimes incomplete. Outcomes are sometimes out of our hands, and that even when we do everything right, the ending may still be hard. We are not fortune tellers, we are guides. And the space between those two things is where most of the friction lives. My dogs understood something about that space. They waited at that sunroom door for hours, held in place by something they couldn't fully explain. They didn't argue with it. They didn't demand a timeline or an explanation. They just waited inside the discomfort of not knowing. And they were fine. One evening, I slid open the back door to join my family for dinner outside. Crystal bolted past me before I understood what was actually happening. No hesitation, no warning. We chased her, which only made things worse. Crystal Ball disappeared. That was 9 years ago. There was no resolution, no confirmed outcome, no explanation that tied anything together neatly. Just a door that opened and a cat who made a choice I never saw coming from an animal I thought I knew. Her boundaries were predictable. Her freedom was not. I think about that moment whenever a client pushes me for certainty I don't have. I understand the impulse. It comes from love. But the exam room and the backyard share the same truth. The story doesn't always close the way we need it to. What we can do is stay present inside the open question, gather the information available, make the most informed decision we can with what we have right now. Crystal never needed to know how the story ended. She just ran toward whatever came next. Maybe that's the lesson. This is Lessons Across Species, and if this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.